Hey everybody, it's Anne, and welcome to Reaper Toolbox Live, where we sit here and eternally paint the dragons in the Dance of Death, which isn't even released yet. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, Miniath. The Minaith. Whatever your name is, it's cool. I'm not sure if it's two words with the at the beginning, or if it's one word that is a name that sounds elvish. At any rate, I am Ann Forster. I work for Reaper Miniatures. I am staff painter and paint line designer of Reaper Masters Paint. And for a very long time now, we have been working on a single project on this show. The Minaith. Okay, thanps. Now I know how. I'll forget it. Just ask anybody whose name I have murdered at the Reaper MSP Open painting competition at ReaperCon. I've murdered many names. Yes, hello again, hello again. Hey, Erin. Hey, Reaper is my addiction. It's obvious. You're here all the time. Hey, Gypsy Jan. Awesome. So, hey, we have a few people, and that's good. We are going to rock today. Rock. The reason we're rocking is because if we rock and finish the rock, I can actually glue this dragon down. Here, let's just put him... As you can see, I need to glue him. I cannot just set him. And finally glue everything together and like actually have like a part of this done. Here, stay. There. There we go. There he is. There's his pretty wings. Just looking at the camera or the monitor to make sure. So yeah, so there's another dragon up here fighting him. Yay. And so if we get the base done, then I can actually glue Mr. Black Dragon down. Oh, you're retired, you lucky person. I hope that this is making your retirement enjoyable. But yeah, so I would love to glue this guy down because then I could actually finish his parts that I couldn't finish before because I was holding on to them, like his tail. So that is the goal. We're going to work on the rock formations so that we can actually glue Mr. Black Dragon in, and then we can work on Mr. White Dragon and actually have a prayer of someday finishing this, probably about the same time we actually get the dang thing into stock, upon which it will sell out instantly, I predict. Don't you think, Justin?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Especially after all of the promotional at this point we've done.
Yeah, yes.
There will be a hashtag free if we have another incentivized, although people are still filtering in, so we'll probably have to announce this again sometime in the next 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But there will be a giveaway today. And do you want to show them what the giveaway is?
Yes, I will. It's kind of a funny giveaway. I don't like to do paint giveaways when it's cold out because, you know, everybody knows freezing and paint are bad things. And although it's warm here in Texas, it's not warm all over the world. So we are going to be painting terrain today. So we're going to be using big fat brushes. And the fattest, biggest terrain brush that we sell at Reaper is the number 4 flat, which is actually really good for base coating like relatively large flat surfaces like wings and things, but is also really good for doing like small stipply detail on terrain and things like that, and also for base coating smaller terrain pieces. So I thought we would just give a brush giveaway, and you can all have a big fat flat brush to paint your rocky formations with, or your giant flat wings. It really is nice to use a flat when you have a smooth surface to use it on, because it does cover a lot of ground. It holds a lot of paint, and you don't have to worry about it not getting in the cracks because, you know, you're painting a big flat thing. So things like wings are great to use flats for. And even with a dragon this size, this flat covers the surface pretty fast. So I think it's useful.
So we're giving away the number 4 brush.
Number 4 Pro brush.
We're going to be giving
use to paint this thing.
We're going to be giving away one of those for every, and we might throw in some extra like bonus goodies to the box.
Yeah, like let's throw in some extra random we should have a random grab bag.
You are unlikely to only get just the brush.
Yes.
Let's put
How
it
about
that
that? You're unlikely. Justin is going to go, you know, roaming.
Yes.
And see what sticks out.
So we will be giving away one of those plus goodies we're giving away one set essentially per 5 subs.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So Paladin 65, dry brushing, character size minis. I don't dry brush unless I'm doing terrain Paladin. I find that dry brushing leaves an undesirable texture for me. I've never liked it. I actually learned to stipple and layer before I learned to dry brush because I was self-taught as a miniature painter. There weren't any online resources at the time I was teaching myself. So I had to, there was like discussion groups, but nobody could really post, you know, effective tutorials very well. So yeah, I essentially just started, you know, doing that instead. That said, depending on the size of the mini of the surface you are trying to dry brush, like if you have a cloak, say a fur cloak, because you usually only want to use direct dry brushing when there's texture to be brought out. So if you have a fur cloak and you decide you want to dry brush on that, honestly, a number 2, I think we'd do a number 2 flat. That's about half this size, and that's about where I go. I also do dry brush like basing stuff. Like if I put a static grass or a flock or gravel or anything down on a base, I'm going to paint it over. I'm not going to just leave it that color. So I'll often use like a number 2 flat. But I like flats for dry brushing because you don't have that round tip that tends to get into places, and you're not going to wreck the tip on a flat brush by dry brushing because let's face it, dry brushing wrecks brushes. So yeah.
But also the giveaway is not on yet because we have not received our first. As soon as we receive our first 5 subs, I'll turn it on.
5 subs, yes.
Correct.
Yeah, dry brushing, like I said, I'm not a big fan, but I will be using a little bit of it on this. I used to know a guy back when I was first playing Warhammer and getting better at painting who really could dry brush amazingly well. Like could do it on smooth surfaces and could build up blending, could build up layers with it, and used it with glazing and got a really beautiful soft textured finish on this. So it is possible to dry brush to a very, very high level. It's just never been my shtick. So yeah, I won't totally diss the technique. It definitely has its places, and you can get very good at it. And it does definitely give you a fast way to bring out texture. All right, yeah, damp brush technique after dry brushing. Yeah, people do that. People glazes. Max, you were watching me ×2. So do you have the one stream open, you know, on the one side of your monitor, and then this on the other side, and you can get Anne in like stereo, right? Hamburger for lunch means no sub for Trashorama. Oh my gosh, that was an expensive hamburger. But that's fine. So yeah, if we get 5 subs, we'll start giving away flat brushes. But right now, what we're doing, and this is actually a basing thing that I learned from Jeremy Bonnemont when he was here in the USA. He is a French painter. He does Figone is his website, Figone, and they sell products and miniatures. They're a good place to keep an eye on if you're looking for the newest sculpts in Europe in resin. Like they feature a lot of busts and bigger resin models. But Jeremy is a very good painter, and his idea, and I think a lot of the European painters actually ascribe to this, is that you should use the colors that you use on the model in the basing that you're doing for the model. So then my target for this is essentially to use some of the colors that I'm using. I'm definitely using some blue liner because I know that I'm going to use blue liner on the white dragon in addition to using it on the underside of the black dragon's wings. I'm going to use probably some russet brown because I used some of that on the black dragon. Other than that, I'm not sure yet because I haven't really picked like all the colors for my white dragon. And I do want to actually use a couple of our stony colors that are good for this sort of thing today. So we're going to be using a mixture, kind of for our dark tones, for our gray tones, we're going to be using cloudy gray mixed with, you know, walnut brown if I want it darker, a bit of blue liner to make it bluer. But I also want to use a triad that not a lot of people like really know about or use a lot. And it's redstone. It really is meant to represent those really high iron stones and dirts. There's a lot of it up in Oklahoma that I see when I drive north. And I love these colors. It's an unconventional dirt ground color, but it is realistic. And so when you use it, you can get a little bit of a different, it's not just the same old brown dirt. So what I had in mind here is I had in mind like certain granite and other igneous rock formations that are gray primarily, but also have some gold and some red color added into the gray here and there because of mineral deposits. So for the golden part, we're going to use 9073 chestnut gold. And we're going to be mixing this stuff a lot between it and wet blending it a lot. And we are also going to use probably we used skeleton bone a little bit on Mr. Black Dragon. We'll use this to make this lighter and to make this lighter. So we're just going to be swooshing it together, and I'm probably going to start dark and work into lighter colors as I go up. So yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we gotta definitely save your subs for, I mean, I love seeing, don't get me wrong, I love seeing subs on my new show in the morning because it's like, hey, the show is working, look, we're getting subs. But it also doesn't unlock giveaways, so it's like kind of a halfway. So I'm using a gigantic that you should all know. This is a number 10. It's just a Master's Touch brush from Hobby Lobby. As you can see, it's gotten left in the paint water. From its wood abrasion, but this is a size 10. As you can see, it's quite large, and this will cover a lot of ground, and it's also kind of frayed already, so I don't mind abusing it for terrain. But we're just going to start at the bottom.
Also, Tazalanch.
Oh, Tez, have a question.
Yes, actually. The suggestion there is to have a singular SKU that orders all the things that's in the Monday painting set, essentially, instead of ordering them separately. So without going into great detail, we're ahead of you there. We're trying to do that. We have been told that that's basically not possible, but we're trying to make a workaround.
We should be able to do a bundle. I mean,
we would love to do that. So let me put it to you this way: Collins and I's hands are tied. That's pretty much the gist of it. Or not Taz. That wasn't you. I mean, it says Tazalanch. I'm sorry, not Tazalanch, Trash. You both start with a T. It's fine. It's fine, guys.
It's been a long day for Justin and I. Neither one of us got much sleep. We're both tired.
Yeah, and I also didn't get a chance.
Words are hard.
I was fixing computers, so I didn't get a chance to grab lunch. I meant Trashorama. Sorry, Trash, and sorry, Taz. You guys are both special. But anyway, that is something that we would love to do. We would actually love for it to be. We would love for it to be even in a case. Where almost like a learn to paint kit. Where you just
do a limited special.
Where basically you just order it and there it is.
That would be fun.
But it is something we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, we
want that too.
Yeah, we only just started actually making an effort at streaming this past year. So we're still, and it takes, for bigger companies, it takes a while to get everything in place because we already have so many other eggs in the basket. So yes, just be patient with us, please. We do think it's a wonderful idea. We would love to do that. Reaper has the capability to do that. So I can't see why we wouldn't at some point in the future. Although we may need to pick a specific show to do that for, since obviously now we're going to ramp up our content and we're not necessarily going to be able to do that for every show because it takes time to package that stuff and put it together and ship it out and do all that. And it's an extra load, especially for the gathering it and packaging it. So we may just have to pick a featured show that we do that for. That might be a great one if Rhonda streams. That might be a great one for Rhonda, actually. Is she in? Is she in the chat? I'm totally throwing her under the bus here.
She might be.
But, but just because she's done, I guess it'd be a good one for me, too, eventually, because we've both done Learn to Paint kits for Reaper. And so, having already done that, we're used to kind of thinking that way and stuff, so could be fun. All right, so I'm using slightly different colors. You can see I've got a slightly warmer gray. This is just cloudy gray, 9089 with walnut brown in it. It's got about 8 drops of cloudy and 3 drops of walnut. You can see how strong the black is, but it makes this area a little bit browner, and I'm going a little bit more blue on the outside. And you can see how I'm starting with about 12 drops of paint or water in here. I've got just a little bit of water to make it spread a little better. But you can see I'm probably going to be able to cover one entire side, maybe almost the whole thing, just with the paint I've mixed up. So a little bit of paint does go a long way if you're using a nice big brush and you can spread it pretty thin. I do want to do some wet blending, but I'm probably going to lay down this base color first and then work on wet blending. I do want this area where the dragon's tail, the black dragon's tail connects. I actually do want this area quite a bit lighter because if you think about it, that black tail is going to be coming down there, and I want that tail to stand out. So I should make this is kind of a backdrop for that tail, so I want the top of this structure to end up quite light. So we will get there. Let me get more of my blue. Actually, let's concentrate on that part. I can always mix up more colors. So we will concentrate on the ye old promontory here. So I like to use all different colors in my rocks because I think it's more natural. I like to, when I'm driving, I like to take road trips. So When I'm on the road anywhere, if there are some cool rock formations, I almost always stop and take a picture or just kind of make a mental note if I see cool colors and how they kind of happen. Sedimentary rocks can be some of the best for that, with all sorts of reds and golds and grays. But gray rock, I like it. I like introducing other colors to gray rocks because I think it makes them a lot more interesting. Let me just get some of the interior of this. And you know, you're working pretty fast. You don't want to, if you miss parts, it's not important. You can always go back and hit them again. That's why I'm keeping my mixes really simple here, although it doesn't really matter. I'm only mixing 3 different colors at this point: cloudy gray, blue liner, and walnut. So I'm going to be able to duplicate close enough. When you're dealing with rock work and there's so much texture, matching the color precisely doesn't matter anymore because the texture is going to kind of disguise any small variation that there may be. And this is true in painting any textured surface. You don't have to be perfect if you've got that texture distracting the eye. You don't have to have a perfect match. Like if you do a touch-up or something and your color isn't quite perfect, chances are nobody will even notice. Can also use this. This is the distract the eye kind of thing, which also works with freehand. If you are, if your blending isn't the awesome, you could do some freehand on top of a cape that you didn't blend very well, and the freehand will almost always distract from the fact that you didn't blend very well. So there, tricks of the trade there. Got
also, you beat me to it, Trashrama. That was actually what the title was going to be.
All about that base.
Yeah.
See, I was going to say it should be Rock On, but you know, we could do Rock of Ages like next time if we're not done. Because Def Leppard, come on, I grew up in the '80s.
I agree with you. That's fine too. Maharoon wanted to know what the difference between liner and clears were.
Oh yeah, so clears are essentially a single pigment, or sometimes a dual pigment, depends, but most often a single pigment in a clear base. That's why they're called clears. These are extremely bright colors because they've only got one single bright pigment, but they also don't cover that well because a lot of the very bright primary pigments just don't have the best coverage. The best coverage pigments are actually things like white or the earth tones, and so the bright pigments like red, yellow, and blue don't cover nearly as well. So that's why we call them clear brights. They're really good for mixing. They're also really good if you have a red that you like, but that maybe it's a little bit muted or it lacks punch and you want it a little brighter, you can add just a little bit of clear red to it to make it brighter without losing the coverage. So that's another great way to do it. A lot of people also glaze with them. I really like to do glowing effects with them. Because they are so transparent, you can essentially apply them over a base coat of white to get a really light, bright effect. So I do lighting effects with the clears a lot. Liners, on the other hand, are in a completely different paint base from anything else that we do. They are made for lining, so they're made as essentially a shader for colors, a very dark color to shade or line around areas. Dark lining is a technique that people will use to bring out details on a model. So they'll line around where one area meets another. It's kind of like cartoon characters. And if you use black, that's the kind of effect you're going to get, is a very cartoony effect. So keep that in mind. That's why the liner colors are like gray and brown and blue, and they're not necessarily, they're not black. I don't have a black liner. So you can use liners as a great foundational base for bones. Putting a wash of brown liner over bones is a nice way to pick out all the details so that you can see them before you paint. If you do that, I recommend doing a mixture of brush-on sealer and brown liner with only a little bit of water. The sealer will make the liner more transparent, but it will also make it stick better to the bones. Whereas when you add a lot of water, you run the risk of it not sticking as well to bones.
Also, since we have a few more people in here now, because we'll have to make periodic announcements.
Oh, no, not periodic announcements.
Yes.
Gray liner is great for steel NMM max powers, just so you know.
The giveaway today is a number 4 brush, Reaper brush, the flat brush there.
Yeah, the flat brush. I'm going to be using it in a moment to add some colors and wet blend stippling onto this dark rock.
And
I dropped it.
Oops.
I am not unconnected, but it was close thing.
So basically, we're going to be giving away one of those, and probably some more goodies with it. It's probably not just going to be the brush. Yeah. For every 5 subs. That includes resubs. Resubs, gifted subs, regular subs,
subs,
any kind of subs. In fact, if you sub at a higher tier, that'll count more towards the actual like subs. So for instance, if you sub at a tier 3, that's worth 5 subs right there alone. So
I'm going to go a little bit lighter now.
Tier 2 is worth like 2, and then a regular tier sub is just tier 1 sub is just 1 sub.
All right, I'm going to go in bluer up here now.
But the giveaway is not open currently because we have only had...
We do not have a sub-sub. We do not have 5 sub-subs.
As of Numbat's gifted sub, thank you Numbat, that
Yay!
is our 2nd sub for this stream. So we still need 3 more to actually unlock the first giveaway, or the first set of these we're giving away.
And now we're going to blend it with this other color. So rocks often do a gradation, like this is a sedimentary rock that's gotten pushed up out of the ground. So as it got pushed up, you know, parts of it are going to have different sediments and different minerals. And so you often will see a gradation in color in sedimentary rock because of that. Since it's laid down in layers, and the layers are not always identical or even close. So that's how I'm going to get away with that gradient there, and I'm going to kind of wet blend by stippling with my big brush, get some of that brownish color into the bluish color, so it's a natural transition. You could also, I could be a little bit rockier, haha, about it, but for my base coat, I like a smoother transition, and then I can pick out areas with different colors later. I'm almost done with this base coat, and then we'll get to like highlight. I just wanted to actually I hate doing just a little bit for you guys, because then if I don't have time in my office to finish it, then it sits there half done and it bothers the heck out of me. So we'll at least try to get this rest of this stuff scrubbed in. And meanwhile, feel free to ask any more questions. Oh, the other cool thing about liner colors is that they are somewhat translucent, which is why they work so well for washes. And they do... because they're translucent, if you want a more subtle lining effect, like I used to paint a lot of historical models, and I would use brown liner, but I would thin it down so it was a very subtle shadow. And that looks a lot more naturalistic if you want less cartoony, more unnaturalistic. And then every step between that and pure black is, you can swing it one way or another. Actually, yeah, I'm using blue liner. I'm using combination, actually. Right now, it's cloudy gray is the main, and it's either mixed with walnut brown or blue liner in varying degrees. I love blue liner. It's one of my favorite colors and always has been. Since I created it, I have loved it. A lot of people say it's very similar to today's Payne's Gray, if you are familiar with artist colors, so it's a very versatile color. There we go. Had to mix up a new batch. But yeah, liner colors don't have the best coverage, so here I'm mixing it with a cloudy gray to offset that. But it gives it a nice bluish cast. And I did use blue liner in the dragon, in his wings, so it is repeating a color in the basing that I used on the model, which helps to make the model look like it belongs on the base. Get the inside of this. We're almost to the point where we can just start doing stuff. Here. One little more part here. See where I missed a spot over there. There are an awful lot of nooks and crannies, so using a big blown out brush like this is good because it can help you hit those very fast and efficiently. Because the less time you spend base coating, the better, because it's the most boring part. All right. Oh yeah, Grand Canyon is a great example of sedimentary layers. Although there it's been worn down instead of thrust up. There's some, they're called, I think, the Painted Mountains of China, that are even crazier than the Grand Canyon. They look like a box of crayons. It's crazy, crazy talk. How many models do I think I painted in 2019? Well, let's see. Do we count, just total? I did a couple of competition minis. I did a lot of commission models, probably 8 or 9 commission models done to a fairly high standard, some for Dark Swords, some for private commissions. And then I painted at least a few models for Reaper. If I had been, I was still doing paint mixing full time during last year. So And I wish one of my resolutions for this new year is to finish more models like for competition level and for display level, because I have so many awesome models at home, and I've been like kind of refining, going through my collection recently, just trying to like kind of prune it down and get some of the other stuff gifted to my friends that I won't ever paint. And it's just reminded me of all the awesome models that I own. And so I'm like, I really need to finish more. So that's one of my resolutions for this coming year. That and starting Pilates again, because I need to get more strong in my core muscles, especially with all the bending over and general bending and hunching over I do with painting and all the other hobbies that we do, right? Haha. Trash, actually, what I do typically is I'm Santa Ann at Paint Club. And so last week I was Santa Ann. I brought in a whole bunch of models and I grabbed Paint Clubber regulars and I dragged them back into the paint department and they got to all grab models from my collection. So it is unpredictable and I do not advertise it in advance. I just pretty much wait for a good day. And now I've almost, I think, thinned down my whole collection. And I also love that the models that, like, because obviously they're all good models, right? I thought I would paint them once upon a time, but I just don't have the heart for them anymore. There's just other stuff that I'd rather paint now. So it's nice to know that they went to good homes with friends who are all excited about painting them. So. You do, Jazzion. I don't know how we're going to do. We're going to have to import you somehow. It's good to see so many patrons on here. I have a Patreon, for those of you. Some of you heard me say this morning, but I'm going to say it again because we have a slightly different audience for the afternoon. But I am running a special offer on my Patreon right now. If you sub at the $5 level, you actually get access to all of the $10 content also from 2019. And of course the $2 content. So that's like 35 PDFs and 29 videos or something like that. It's like hours of content and like 100 pages or more of PDF content. So it's a lot. And my Patreon is patreon.com/paintingbig, all in one word. I was really happy with this past year. I really love my patrons. I really appreciate all you guys do for me. So I thought I would run a special this coming year, and maybe people who've been sitting on the fence can take advantage of it and totally get a lot of content. Especially because a lot of the questions you guys ask me on this show are things that I actually have done on my Patreon. And I just put out an index. If you go to my Patreon, actually, you can see an index of all the content we did for the last year. So you can even judge and see if it's something you'd be interested in. It should be the top post, as a matter of fact. There should be a PDF download. It's public. All right, we have a base coat, and it's mostly dry. So let us try to lighten this area and use different colors so Mr. Black Dragon will show up well against it. Because right now, you can see he doesn't show up very well against it. This is just way too dark. But I like to start dark and work light on this stuff. So let's put some reds in there. How dark should I start? I love the redstone triad. Let's use a bunch of it. Let's start with kind of putting some auburn shadow in as kind of a wash in places or layered, and then we can do some redstone stippling and some redstone highlight and chestnut gold. I'm so excited. I love this triad. It's also really good for terracotta clay if you're working on anything like that. If your mini has a vase or a drinking vessel, it's good for that. Or flower pots. You never know when you're going to paint a mini with flower pots. Oh, Koos, thanks. Yeah, Soldier was my awesome. Yay! Thanks, Jazzian. I'm glad that you love the community. Yeah, if you join my Patreon, patreon.com/paintingbig, all one word. If you join my Patreon, definitely join my Discord because we have a lot of fun. And that's actually, it's where I'm able to like talk to people and I can give you guys like feedback on models. People post up minis for feedback from their peers and from me. We have a good time. I love my Discord. We also enable each other totally because people like Jazzian post up amazing models by people and then I have to buy them because it's a thing. All right, so let's see. This is very red, so let's add more water. I'm totally painting Justin's camera. I need to put my water cup a little closer to me and not between the camera and me. So I'm really, really going to thin down this redstone shadow. It is a pretty auburn color. You can see how red it is. I'm want to just kind of start kind of painting that here and there. What this does, what painting different colors on the mini does is and I'm going to thin it down too. That way it'll be more subtle. And how subtle or how strong you want this is just up to you. There is no right or wrong. There are plenty of garish stones in the world, and there are plenty of subtle stones. So what I will do is just kind of put a little bit, like I might go heavy on the red over here, but then go lighter on the red and more into the gray and gold on this side, and that's going to be just fine. As long as I can transition. I usually want to transition at least a little bit. You don't want to stop abruptly, obviously, unless it's very clearly one area of stone. So there you go. So I'm just pretty much doing, and I'm grabbing more water and just kind of stippling. I'm currently using a number 2 brush to do this because I'm trying to get more into the cracks here. If I didn't want flow into the cracks, I would use a flat. But I do want a little bit of flow into the cracks. I want to kind of guide it here and there and spread it across the face. And so that it's not so obvious where it is. Now, obviously, if I'm going to dry brush or stipple over the top of this, I need to kind of put this up a little bit so it can focus for you guys. There we go. Now, if I'm going to stipple and dry brush over the top of this, obviously, if it's a little bit irregular, it's not going to matter. I kind of like how that looks, though. I'm going to put a little bit more on the back. Putting reds, or the other color I really love to do this with, actually, especially if it's in a wetter or foresty environment, use my favorite color from Mr. Dragon, Swamp Green, 9175. It's a lovely, lovely color. And it's great, obviously, for swampy dragons, but it's also really good for just suggesting moss, lichen, and you know, mold growing in the crevices of rock. Just microgreenery, really. It's a lovely dark olive, and it's very natural, very naturalistic. Really, really good for swampy bases, but good for deep forest as well. So now we're kind of, and you see what I'm using the pointed brush for, is I'm trying to get it into the cracks. I want it to be a little recessed. That's kind of fun. Let's just put a little bit of it over here. And then we'll go and we'll continue working on this promontory. But yeah, so now I've got a bit of red, and it's making it more complex, right? It's not just a gray rock. Painting biglings. I don't know. I mean, my painting big Patreon is really like kind of like my place for my community, like the Ann fans together, right? So I don't know what you guys want to call yourself. It's up to you. You should really name yourselves. I really should not arbitrarily name you. But I appreciate every one of you. I love my Patreon. And I just bought a new camera for it that's a lot like the one that Justin and I are using here, so I'm hoping I can dial it in and get some really good resolution out of that. I'm playing with it. It's a slightly different model, different company than the one we have here. All right, let's get some redstone and try to do some stipples and see how it looks. I don't know how it's going to look yet. I'm going to give, uh-oh. Wet palette does not good stippling make, says Yoda. Ah! My brush decided to like get malfunctional. All right. So for stippling, usually you want a drier paint. You want to be able to kind of make, this is a little bit too regular for me. Yeah, you want it to be a little bit, well, if it gets lighter, then I'm okay. Because you can always stipple like that. But you want to like use it to make irregular patterns. So I tend to like stippling, again, a little bit better than dry brushing. I like to control where everything goes. I could do a dry brush. If I was doing a dry brush, for those who don't know how, does everybody know how to do dry brushing? I never assume that anymore. If you want to use dry brushing.
Even I can dry brush.
Huh?
Even I can dry brush.
Even Justin can dry brush.
I dry brush
hear that?
everything, actually.
So usually I'll just use like a little piece of paper or a sticky note to get most of the paint off my brush for dry brushing.
Correct. Thank you, Bug Lips. I appreciate that. Follow it because someone asked if there was a freebie. Is he supporting you?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
he was giving out the information.
Because he's
super
awesome
helpful.
that way. Because he's got our back. Bug Lips has our back, and he loves Ed Pugh sculpts, I hear.
Yeah, I too have poor judgment. No, I'm kidding. No, Ed sculpts are great. Thank you, Taos Dave. That puts us at 3 subs.
Awesome! Yay!
2 away from the first giveaway. The giveaway is not live yet because we have not reached the first goal, which is the first 5.
Yes. So this is fun. What I'm seeing now is that this is kind of making the rock look a little bit volcanic. I hadn't thought about that it would make it look like pumice, but it actually is. Redstone would be a great pumice color. And I kind of like that. So I do want it to go lighter though, so I don't know. I think I'm going to mix in some more gray and try to add some gold and try to do some wet blending toward the top. So let's grab our chestnut gold, 9073. It's an organic process. Taoist Dave subscribed at tier 1. Thank you, Taoist Dave. I'm going to do a little bit of a lighter one here too. I think I want to add some gray to my chestnut gold. So just a little bit, just a little bit, because I want to take it. The reason for that is that chestnut gold is pretty intense, and I want to take it down, make it more of a stony color. I'm going to mix one version without white, and then I'm going to add a little white to the other version and see where we can go. And I'm just using 9435 skeleton bone. Any off-white will do with stone. And if you use a complex color, then sometimes you get more interesting effects. So this is going to be a very gray gold. It's almost like desert stone. It's almost like 9431. I'm going to try to get the top part of this really light. Oh no, she's just dabbing it all over the place, they say. What are you doing? I am playing around. Because rocks allow you to play around, dang it. And I bet I can blend this in and make it look good. And if I can't, well, guess what? I've got plenty of time to repaint it. There we go. Now we're wet blend stippling. Just trying to kind of, because I do want the upper part here lighter, so now is the time to go for lighter. And also to introduce some tan. This will also let me see if I really like the tan. I'm going to actually drop it down here too. Like there's a ridge of specific rock, a different yellow oxide, a different oxide. And I can also use this color as a dry brush. Make a lovely dry brush, as a matter of fact, to kind of tie it in if I do it down further. And do a little bit picking up texture. And my dry brush is still pretty wet here because I'm moving fast and I'm not going for subtlety. I am often more likely on something like this to use a wet brush instead of a dry brush, and then do a lot of wet blending and then do like a wash to pick out detail instead of doing a dry brush up. Depends though. All right, so that's actually pretty cool. I like that tan color. That's neat. I almost wish I would have done a little bit lighter with the rest of it, but I can do that. I can bring in my tan and dry brush a little bit. Dry brush a little bit over the red, or wet brush, as the case may be. Anne's dry brushing equals wet brushing. It's really, you just want something interesting to look at. That's actually a pretty interesting rock, I think. I like that red stain there. That's pretty good. Let's see here. Let me add in more white because I want to bring it up more. I may have started a little bit too dark, my gut says, but I can always adjust it. So it's just, at that point, it's just layers of dry brushed or blended highlight. Kay Foster the Warlock, are you in Australia? That it's morning? Oh, Buglips decided to drop a gift sub bomb. That's amazing. Thanks, Buglips. Excellent, excellent. Just checking to make sure I haven't... Hi, Iffy Paints. It's good to see you. We have a sub bomb. Justin, now we have to give away brushes. Buglips has bombed us.
Not only that, we're now at 2.
2 brushes. And stuff. 2 brushes and stuff.
Brushes and stuff.
Random stuff. Y'all can blame Justin for whatever random stuff you get.
Thank you for the bits there, Numbat.
However, I will say that Justin seems to be a pretty generous guy, so I bet you'll get some cool stuff in with the brushes. And then when it warms up a bit and we get out of this winter, then we can start doing paint giveaways more.
Now you can type hashtag free. It is now, as of this announcement, open.
Yay! Type your freeze. Hashtag free. Oh, I'm still a little bit wet up there. I probably don't want to. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this tan rocks thing I got going on. I really wish I had my swamp green on my plate, though, because then I could actually use some of it up here, too. I think I like this. So I'll do this a lot when I'm doing basing, as I'll start out with just a really neutral color, and then I'll start adding other colors to it until I really like it. I'm kind of liking this beige rocks thing I got going on. I like how it looks. It's a little bit different. And let's see. The test is... Come here, dragon. Dragon tail, sadly, is a bit rub off, but he's definitely... The tail looks better against the lighter rock, for sure. This light isn't the greatest way to show you guys, but yeah, the tail's looking better there. And the tail will be green and purple, so it'll be different from this red and tan, so it should show up. Daffodweir, I am using big flat brushes to paint terrain, the rocky terrain of the Dance of Death with, and so the number 4 brush plus Justin is going to throw in a couple of little surprise things. So it's an odd free, it's a potluck free. There we go. It's a potluck free today. But these number 4 flats really are nice for this sort of thing, and also for base coating larger, flatter models like wings. Wings on dragons. And gosh knows, with all these Bones Kickstarters, boy, do we have dragons.
Max, that would just be reaperlive at reapermini.com.
Let me see. I want to add a little bit of redstone highlight in here, just cause. I'm just trying to get a little bit of reds in other places. I do like the red tones as well. There. That's kind of nice. Just streaking those colors through the rocks is actually kind of nice. And then I'll get back to it with my current mix of chestnut gold 9073 plus a little bit of cloudy gray 9089 plus a little bit of skeleton bone 9435. And really, again, off-white, what off-white you use doesn't matter with terrain. The more interesting, the better usually. Do-do-do.
but
we're just doing a little bit of dry brushing. Obviously dry brushing, you want to go kind of across the grain. But the great thing about doing rocks is that you don't have to be even about your dry brushing. You can just like go. I actually really enjoy painting terrain because I like just mucking around and not having to stick to any particular color grouping. I think it's fun. Now I am going to do some finer work on this stuff now. I think I've got it. I kind of like it. So it's time to go in and do a little bit extra. I want to grab some highlights and some shadows.
I think it's frowned upon, Quindy, to ship children through the mail. I think it is.
Depends on what you find in a child.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll check on that, though. Also, yes, law of surprise. I will absolutely second that.
No. We don't need Justin's children becoming witchers. I don't think so.
You're right. I need to become a witcher.
You're going to need to get abs again. I'm sorry.
I thought that when you became a witcher, you got abs.
I don't think it works that way.
Hey, you don't know that. I'm going to give it a shot anyway.
I don't know, but okay, ladies, just saying, the guy that got to play Geralt in the Witcher series, holy wow.
Are you talking about Henry Cavill?
Is that him?
That man is amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Superman.
Like, he could turn guys gay, I think. He's amazing.
I'm pretty sure that every time I watched him, I questioned myself.
Yeah.
While sitting next to my
gosh.
fiance.
Like, I didn't watch the show until I was out visiting David, and then we decided to watch the first episode. And it got a bit dark for me, but it's The Witcher. You expect dark. But boy, he's hot. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I don't usually even care about actors, but whoa.
No, I turned to my fiance and I was like, I'm pretty sure if Geralt of Rivia walked through that door right now, it would be a fight to see who left with him.
Pretty much. Perfect typecast, though.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, 2 things about that.
Yeah?
Paul, huge crush on Henry Cavill.
Really?
Like he
Really?
liked him in Superman. He liked him in this. He has a huge crush on him. Secondly, the writer, I believe it was, of the Witcher book series,
Yeah.
came out and actually said unequivocally that Henry Cavill portrayed that character perfectly.
No, he
as
did.
would
He
have
nailed
lived.
the voice. He nailed
Yes.
everything.
He
Like, I
put
was impressed.
He put his official stamp of approval on it, saying that is Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah, I've read a couple of the Witcher books, actually. And again, very, very dark, but well written. So I am really thrilled that the author also liked the casting choice. That's always the best. But boy, yeah, he nails the voice, he nails the expressions, he nails everything. It's just, so good.
Yes, I read that too, Mineth, that as soon as Henry Cavill found out that Netflix was making a series, he told his agent to just call them every day. Apparently he's a huge Witcher fan. Like
Awesome!
He's played all the video games. Like,
Well, that's why he nailed it then, because he knows it, yeah.
He knew going into it. He's like, this is a character.
This is my character, I want this character, thank you. That's wonderful, I didn't know. So yeah, I actually watched a friend play through a lot of Witcher 3, but I need to really download it and play through it myself. I'm just not good. Sometimes I'm not good at the games with a lot of combos and special moves and things. So I was like, well, but it'd be worth it. I also may have just indulged and found a bust of Ciri online that Big Child did and bought it. So maybe I'll do that for my Patreon. Maybe we'll have to paint a Witcher bust. Do some demos on that. That would be an excuse for me to totally indulge what I just bought. Because it's a sexy bust. I like it a lot. It was not cheap because, trademark and all that. But it's really nice. It's very clever. And I like painting kick-ass women, or kick-butt women, sorry. Sorry, internet. Didn't mean to swear. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for a Witcher bust. I was looking for a Geralt bust, Coves, but they didn't have a good one. And I'm like, might just be yet another reason. Reason number 5,483 that Anne needs to learn to sculpt so she can, sculpt herself a Witcher bust. This always happens when I, come up with something that they don't make a bust for, but they really need to make a bust for. And right now, by the way, I'm just using the colors I already have to kind of go in and stipple on more detail to bring in higher highlights in areas, but to do it precisely with more precision. And I'm just using a big round brush to do it, kind of just to bring out some of this little rocky detail, because Julie sculpted this really nicely. Julie, I assume this was probably a Julie and Bob endeavor, because usually they work together. But it's got some nice rocky detail, and it lets me also lighten up these upper areas around where the dragon's tail will slot in, and to do it selectively. So I'm not dry brushing the whole area. I can just pick up some stuff on my brush, and I can also reintroduce some of the red tones here and there. And pick up, also, since I was using a big brush to dry brush with, it didn't hit some areas, so I can go in and pick those up. And really, I'm just stippling with the tip of the brush, and I'm moving very fast. So it doesn't take as long as you'd think. Irregular patterns like this would be in rocks anyway, so you don't have to be real precise. Try to hit the areas that are protruding so that it makes sense that the light would pick them up. But as you can see, that's really bringing up these rocks a lot and making, again, the more red, I'm picking up some redstone highlight for this too, and some redstone. And that lets me put more red tones in, but just little speckles of it. So you don't see it right away, but you notice that there's extra colors in the rock, and then when you get closer, you can pick them up and see them, which is a very nice, you can see that right down here. And it lets me kind of emphasize stuff that I may have dry brushed over, like I lost some of my redstone shadow, which is a beautiful dark red color, and I love, love, love it. And now I can go in and kind of paint it into these crevices a little bit more and bring it out more like it is over here. And this is just little, and as you can see, it's super fast. It does not take long. But just putting a little bit of extra time like this into your stonework is really the difference between just, like tossing something on the table or making it actually look interesting and, just a little bit better. Because the temptation is just to kind of, just kind of do rocks and throw them out there, but they can actually be really interesting. I actually wish I did have some of the swamp green. That was a tactical error because it would be great. One of the great things I could do is I could put in swamp green next to these red areas, and that would actually kind of neutralize each other, and yet both colors would show up a little bit more. If I put the green over the red, it would tone the red down, and then I could make the green stronger in places and the red stronger in other places. And so I could suggest vegetation in the rock, but also the stains from the iron oxide in the rock. So all these things. Look at a lot of rock pictures. I think rocks are beautiful, personally. I really like rocks. They're one of my favorite things to sculpt and to paint. Because I find them very texturally and visually interesting, and I think they get... that people don't do a lot of work on them, and I think that's a shame. I mean, they should obviously never look better than your model, or be more distract from your model, I should say. But they can still look awesome. So yeah, just bring out your little bits. You see how all that's really like showing up now? There we go. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. I love these rocks. They're really... Yeah, this is looking better than rocks have a right to look, right, Paladin? Yay. Trashorama, that's the only way I probably would watch Titanic. I'm not a fan of what's-his-bucket. Leonardo.
I thought you were going to say James Cameron. I like James Cameron.
Leonardo DiCaprio is not my favorite. I've never been able to take him seriously as a love interest, which means I just can't watch the vast majority of his movies.
I loved him in The Wolf of Wall Street. He was so easy to just, like, detest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see liking him as a hateable character.
But, like, he was so perfect for that. He really was.
I've always kind of thought he was a rat-faced weasel boy, and so I've never been able to, like, really take him seriously as a love interest in a movie. So.
Did you ever see him in the that movie where he spends 90% of the movie trying to get warm, and he's just frozen the whole time?
Oh, no. That kind of movie is the kind of movie I do not enjoy.
It was,
it's a honestly, survival movie of something.
It was like 2.5 hours, or almost. It was long, and it felt like I went on that journey. And I was cold. It was Revenant. That's the one.
Oh, Thank you. Whoa, way too scary for me. No.
I saw. Well, no, it's not. The scariest part is when he gets attacked by the bear, but even then, it's kind of
right. But I have too high of an empathy rating. Like, I didn't watch a lot of TV as a kid, and so when there are really disturbing things like that, where somebody is dying or freezing or starving or any of that stuff, I identify too strongly with them, and I actually get upset. So I have to kind of watch it. My friends know my movie rules, essentially, and they'll tell me anything. Yeah, I guess that the survival movies, I don't enjoy them because most of it is tormenting the person, and then at the end the person gets saved, or isn't. You know, so I'm like, I have to sit through an hour and a half of somebody like being tormented by nature in order to get to the end. I don't know. Just not my thing, I guess. Although, actually, Leonardo DiCaprio in, his first movie, wasn't it? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Where he plays a mentally challenged teenager.
That also had Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah, a really hot, younger Johnny Depp.
That was a fantastic movie.
That was actually a fantastic movie, and Leo's acting job in that was amazing. So I know he's got props as an actor. He's definitely very talented. Let's see here. Yeah, Quindy LaRue, I wouldn't have been able to watch it. It would have been too graphic for me. Any violence that's really realistic tends to really upset me. Can't watch torture or humiliation scenes either.
Wasn't Leonardo also in Django Unchained?
I don't remember. Maybe?
I think he was. Like that's
I saw part of that movie, but
I feel like there's so many performances of his that were just insanely good. Like,
yeah, he's an amazing
fantastic actor.
Yeah, he is a fantastic actor. I just can't take him seriously as a love interest because I just think he's just not that attractive. So maybe his new calling is to play villains, in which case I could actually get behind him on that.
I mean, when he does those, I do think he does a fantastic job. He was not a villain in The Revenant, but
no,
you know,
yeah. But he did get mauled by a bear. I always used to joke when bad things happen to Leonardo DiCaprio in movies that I could actually watch them. And my friends tried to convince me to watch Titanic because he dies at the end, you know. But I was like, it wasn't worth sitting through 4 hours of movie to watch Leonardo DiCaprio die. There we go. Yeah, now he does whatever he wants, Lady Ezra. Exactly.
That movie came out when I was like 8 years old, Titanic.
Oh, yeah?
And I secretly watched it for the car painting scene. Or the painting scene.
So, guys.
I'll be honest with you.
Here you do. So, just like I'm highlighting any model, I'm putting the lightest color at the top of each of these little rock formations, just going through and just really just stippling it on or lining it on, depending on how big the area is. Look how that makes the rock look natural. Like, so it's not just a dry brushed rock anymore. I start with the dry brushing, but then the more you do stipples over the top of it, the more it becomes evident that you put some time in it. It looks really natural that way, and that's what I like. The dry brushing is great to set stuff up, but often at the end it isn't going to look that natural, and I like, especially when you've got a rock that's sculpted as well as this. You can really make it look beautiful. Isn't it pretty? I think the dragon is going to be super happy to have his tail wrapped around this. He probably doesn't care. Let's see here. Ernest Goes to Camp was a masterpiece.
My brother actually really loved all of those movies when we were growing up.
I think I saw the first one, and it was like amusing. It was amusing. It was mindless and amusing.
When you're a kid, they're hilarious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just getting a little bit more, and then I'm going to actually put Mr. Dragon's tail up against this and see how his tail looks again. I do need to like re-base coat his tail. All right. Yeah, Dragon's tail is actually going to show up pretty well against that. So that's excellent. Very good, Dragon. We are excited. Yeah, I know. Well, the minute if I used to do that also. I used to just and when I'm quickying something, then yeah. See, the red really blends in now, doesn't it, Jazzian? So when I'm doing quick stone, yeah, totally. It's just, you know, dark gray, lighter gray, lighter gray. But if I'm really trying, like with this, if it's something that's really beautiful and that I want it to make it look really realistic, then yeah, I'll put the extra time in. And it's really not taking that much extra time. Like, yeah, it takes more than the vast majority of rocks we paint probably, but I'll be a lot happier with it, especially with how much time we're going into the dragons. It would feel funny to me to not have a good amount of time going into the rest of it as well. But yeah, the key to the real rock is using different colors and then doing layers of stuff over the top. And so it's exactly how rock tends to look. So yeah, my rocks look better than your minis. Sorry, Kay Foster. Well, I have had a lot of practice on rocks and minis both, so I don't often get to sit on a stream and just paint rocks, which is my secret, you know, happy place. But I'm going to Yosemite actually at the end of this month, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the biggest rock at Yosemite. So I get a lot of inspiration for my painting from going out in nature anyway. And I kind of have a little resolution of seeing more of the national parks over the next few years. I've never been to Yosemite, so. Yeah, El Capitan, probably. Whatever we can get to, Reaper is my addiction. It's winter, so, you know, what we can get to, depending on the weather, may vary. So David and I are going to play it by ear. We're going to go snowshoeing. We're going to do what we can. Hopefully get some really nice views. But it's all going to be beautiful. I mean, it's Yosemite. I'm not used to freezing my butt off, but we did buy me cold weather gear finally. And I grew up in Wisconsin, but I haven't had a real winter coat for like decades because I've been here. You would happily watch a stream with nothing but me painting terrain. Awesome! Totally new idea for stream. Except that, you know, Ed is doing terrain Tuesdays. So. All right, I've got to stop futzing with this particular part of them. But you get it. Actually, this is pretty good. What time is it, Justin?
It is 2:30.
Oh, okay. So actually, we're getting close to the end. I guess I could do the other side of this. Well, yeah, let's do that. Let's see. So I'm going to have to dry brush, go back and get my colors, get the back part of this. I do love my rocks. I have some cool buildings to do also. I kind of save my terrain painting for when I really need a treat. I probably want a smaller brush for this. I don't like to use the Ed house brush method. Yeah, I'm going to want a smaller brush. Smaller brush. And I started out with a fairly wet brush, so. And I haven't done a wash or anything. I didn't think I needed one back on that other area. I may not need one anywhere. The thing with washes at this point is that if I put a wash over everything, it'll dull down some of the colors that I've introduced, depending on the color of the wash I use. So at this point, the layering, the stippling is turning out well enough. I think I don't really need to do a wash. If I had gotten kind of monochrome, or I'd lost some of my colors, or I didn't like the way this was turning out and I wanted to shift the colors in a given direction, then I would put a wash on it. Would probably do a quick highlight over the whole surface and then do a wash. Yay! All right. That's coming up. Boing, boing. But yeah, I do like painting terrain. I think it's kind of fun and relaxing because you don't have to do it to your super top level, but if you spend a little extra time on it, it really rewards you, because at least if the terrain is well done. I think you guys got a really fancy set, didn't you, Jazion, from, was it a Kickstarter? I remember you posting a picture of it on our Patreon Discord, and it looked pretty good. Beautiful stuff. There we go. We're going to take a brighter color. Tabletop World, that's right. I think I might have a couple of their pieces at home somewhere. Kind of put away my terrain because I know I'm not working on it right now. I also have, when I was working for Games Workshop, which was before I came to Reaper, for a while I was working out in their old headquarters in Glen Burnie. And that was when Fellowship of the Ring came out, and they did a resin limited edition weather top that was only half of the weather top, so it was kind of like a weather top open, so you could use it as a kind of a display base for your models. And I actually own that. I have my half weather top resin still after all these years, and I really should actually drag that sucker out and paint it because it's a beautiful sculpt. Because, of course, with the movie rights, they had to do it justice, so it does look just like the movie. It's just a really nice terrain piece. Reaper should do a rock painting set of colors with step-by-steps. We could do that. I mean, redstone would be in there for me, for sure, for me. I could be using the stone gray colors. And the highlight color I'm using right now is really close to desert stone, which is 9432, I think, in the bones line. It is a very utilitarian rock and sand color, which is why I did it. All right, so we want to get it more like this. So that's my start. So now you can see the stages, right? So, and of course, this has a lot of deeper fissures in it, so it's looking a lot more spiky. And this is more of a flat face with only some cracks and stuff, so you can see the colors and the formations a little bit better. So now I have to go back here and go, all right, what do I need to do to make this look more like that? And I've lost some of my gray. Hi, Twisted Oma. You're late. I started at the beginning of the normal stream time, so that would have been about an hour ago. And this is the base for Dance of Death, so it's the rocky spire. I wanted to at least get this one part done because I wanted to actually mount Mr. Dragon on it so I could paint his tail and other areas that I don't want to paint until he is ready to be glued down. So we're painting rocks, and I'm showing people how you can use the redstone triad and cloudy gray and some mixtures with chestnut gold, or you could use like desert stone from bones to make a really realistic rock. So we're working on this area. And this is pretty much where I want it right now. I might adjust this again once we get the dragon in place. If I look at it and I'm like, well, it's too oh yeah, Jazzy on the weather top. Yeah, I love it. I do want to find time for it. All right, so here we've got a lot of our dry brushing. So this is how we set this up. So this is the finished product, and we set it up with, we started here, then I did some reddish streaks, and then I did the kind of a desert stonish dry brush over the top, which is actually more like cloudy gray plus chestnut gold. And then I added some white to that to bring it up. So it looks okay like this, but it can get better. So we're gonna get our big fat, let's get a big fat brush over here. Where's, this will work. And pretty much it's just after you get your dry brush set up, it's just spot painting. You're introducing other colors and you're stippling a lot. You want to bring out different colors in the stone, just like there would be. I'm just introducing a little bit more chestnut gold at this point because I got a little bit monochrome. So yeah, so that adds complexity. Every layer of color that you add, and actually I'm going to add some blue liner again, I think, because I'm losing my blues. I'm going to get that thinned down and toss that in. And I'm going to actually add some skeleton bone to that to bring it up to more of a blue color. The more white you add to blue liner, the bluer it gets. There we go. I'm going to keep it pretty dark though. It's kind of a shadow color. Oh yeah, Table Skates Dungeon. I think they have a special on right now, you guys. It's the secret weapon. As far as the dungeon sets, because they are nice sets. It is good terrain. And I think they're on sale now on the secret weapon site if you go over there. I think it's secretweaponminiatures.com, if I don't miss my guess. Now we're going to add a little bit more blue. Yeah, Bones 5. Yeah, we've got terrain bits, I mean, here and there. Like the Dragons Don't Share bits, for example, are great terrain pieces. Michael Proctor painted those for the studio model, I believe. He's the one who taught me about using orange with rocks, by the way, which is kind of what I'm doing with this chestnut gold. But if you have gray rocks and you really want to spice them up, doing a really light dry brush or stipple of some burnt orange color or any orangey-ish gold can really spice it up. So that's coming along. That's starting to look good. Now I need to go in with my highlight color and specifically highlight areas that I want to draw attention to. And what are we at, Justin? Quarter 2?
Close enough. It's 2:40.
I'm looking at my mic. My mic is not blinking yet, so we're not about to. My mic is on the last gasp of its battery, so we're good so far. But now that I've said that, of course, it'll start blinking any second. Here we go. So like, yeah, painting rocks is just kind of like hypnotic. I like it. It's fun. It's zen. We're getting zen with the rocks. And we're gonna hit the high points of this stuff and pick up some of these wonderful little details. And again, just stippling. Not really, we're not in try-hard land right now. We are just in, hey, that looks like a cool detail, I'm gonna hit it. That's where we are. We are kind of maybe concentrating on some of the upper parts of the rocks and highlighting the upper edges of some of these, along some of these cracks to make them stand out a little bit better, because that'll make the segments of the rock stand out better. So you can see how it went from pretty random, and now as I add these highlights, it's really bringing out the little details. And if you feel like you over highlighted and things have gone too high, you can always do just a glaze or a light wash with some of your darker colors. Just be careful not to get too heavy-handed or you might lose some of your texture and have to redo it, which if you don't mind, then awesome. And if you use a colored wash, always remember it will change the color of what is under it. Yay! I need more gold down there, I think, and maybe some redstone. I'm missing some of my red down here, so I'm going to re-add it. Just stippling it in to where I want it. Get some of that redstone shadow, which is such a pretty color. Make sure that I don't lose it all. So my red tones in here are really nice. It's giving the rock a different dimension. There's some, there you can see the red a little bit better. And really, I'm just trying to kind of put it random places here and there. I just want the rock to look interesting. Oh, Shodokami asking about a Discord again for Reaper. We know? Not yet? No word?
No real update.
Hey, Planar Crossroads.
They like I said, it's we're also busy with a million other projects that we have not done the Discord yet.
Yes.
It's on a list. It is that. It's just not near the top of the list, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know how that goes. I have a lot of things on my own to-do list. There we go, a little bit more. No problem, Shodokami. It would be nice to have a Discord for the Reaper, for the Reaper Twitch community. I really like my Patreon Discord, so it would be cool to have one for Reaper too. All right, getting all these little highlights in, trying to bring up some of those. See how the little highlights are really bringing up the areas in there. And then we can go over here where the rocks are a little broader. Just kind of stipple a little bit where we want them to stand out. Usually on the upper surfaces where the light would fall. What are you giggling at over there?
I'm giggling at Bug Lips because he
'cause
never
Bug Lips
fails to say something just that makes me chuckle consistently. He said he likes to sow Discord.
Yes. Little bits of stipples. Oh, here's another trick too. If you have your color in your brush and you've got texture, you can stipple with the side of your brush and pick up a lot of stuff at once. Just like dry brushing or wet brushing, but you can do it that way. So it's a little faster. Less precise, but if you have a broad area that you just want to get a couple of stippled highlights on, you could totally do that. Then back to precision over here. Yeah, this is very zen. It's very relaxing to do this. This is why I love painting terrain. Super zen. That's looking lovely. Look at that. Yay, it looks like rocks. Huzzah for rocks. Way off topic. Wow, 38 Discords is a lot of Discord. Jazzian. I am flattered and surprised that you have time to post like lots of things that we need to buy and enable us on my Discord. Yeah, I'm not a big Facebook fan myself these days, Pendrake. It's kind of why I went for a Discord for my Patreon instead of a Facebook group for it. That and I'd had good experiences with Discord, so I was like, let's try it. Haven't been disappointed. There are some things it's new social media just tends to, the fact that it's not terribly searchable and things like that. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. At first it threw me off. I was used to forums where material stuck around for forever. There we go. So yeah, so there you go, guys. We've painted some rocks. We've effectively painted some rocks. They look pretty and rocky. Boop, boop. There. So yeah, they look really jagged there, and then they're a lot smoother there because they're just like a big slab, and they're getting more jagged over on this side. So yeah, not too bad, and I could do a fast job on a lot of the rest of this stuff now that I'm focusing. I really like how this looks, so I may just do it for the whole thing. I like it a lot, so we'll see. We'll see how Mr. Dragon looks up against it. That paint job rocks. Yes, it does. Thank you, Coops, for the pun. Yes, Facebook is for animal pictures. Actually, most of my Facebook, the reason that I'm even still on it is my dog club. So. Thank you. I'm glad that you think they're convincing rocks, Paint Salamander. I like them a lot. I think they'll look very good underneath dragons, even though I haven't figured out what colors exactly the second dragon is going to be. I know he's white, but he's going to be more than white. We have to figure it out. We might do, well, his top surfaces have to have blue in them because of the sky. I don't know about his bottom surfaces. Maybe purple. I haven't decided. We'll figure it out. It'll be a mystery. We'll try it. Shiba live streams, yes. Shiba puppy live streams. Yes, Facebook is made better by the addition of cute animals, for sure. There we go. All right. What are we at, Justin? We're about almost at wrap it, I think.
We're at about 250. If you're at a solid stopping point.
Yeah, I am really. I mean,
okay.
I can continue turning Mr. Rock around so you can also see the awesome rock.
One last call. Get your hashtag freeze in now.
Yes,
for the,
and we'll send you a brush and stuff.
Brush and stuff. And right now we're at 10 subs, so
Hot
if you are going to gift bomb or something like that, or do your prime sub or something, then now is the time. I'll give you guys just one more minute.
Yeah, I hear you, Time Stitcher. It is still a good way to promote and to gather together a community and to out some, word about conventions and stuff like that. Yeah, Jazian, I thought about that, and I wasn't sure about it. I wanted to see first. That's why I used the blue liner as a base, because it is part of Mr. Black Dragon. But I don't know if I want to put all the colors in. I could put the swamp green in, as I was discussing earlier.
All right.
Well, there we go, Jacob Jansen.
Thank you, Jacob.
Dang.
We are now giving away 4 sets. Oh, look.
Yay!
Bobby Jackson ended up with a sub.
Bobby got a brush.
Good old Bobby.
That's excellent. Or no, we got a sub, not a brush. Sorry.
Or sub, correct.
I was concentrating on rocks and totally misspoke. Excellent. When are you going to do the roll, Justin?
Right now.
Oh, hit it! Boom! I have rocks on the brains. My brain is pretty rocky today. I'm on short sleep, Sigwolf, so that's truer than you know. Oh, ink is such a loaded question. Liner is paint is the short answer. Ink is not always paint. Inks these days are little more than washes with superfine pigment. And the base is usually a acrylic lacquer, which means it's high acrylic, very see-through.
Yeah, you definitely should not take this paint job for granted. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I'm
Okay.
not sure whether to like take away XP from you guys for saying that, or whether I should give you XP.
So our 4 winners, by the way, since I just drew our winners, are first one is I think it's
A big fat terrain brush, planar crossroads, and whatever Justin wants to toss in the box.
Yeah, some other extra goodies. First winner is Stachelheim, I think is how that's pronounced, or Stachelheim, or maybe Stachelheim. I'm not sure.
Stachelheim, I think.
The next one would be W Lost Wind, Dysphemist, and then the last winner is Lostorpedos.
Excellent. Congrats, guys.
All 4 winners.
Shotakami, Kay Foster's comment, just a couple of spaces underneath yours, is much of that's part of the problem with inks versus anything question. Inks that go into fountain pens or traditional inks, which is the inks that used to be used on miniatures, are actually lacquer bases with dyes rather than pigments, and so they tend to bleed if you use them on miniatures. Nowadays, thanks to the textile industry, we have inks, or we have dyes that are not dyes. We have inks that are not inks. We have pigments that have been chemically treated to act like dyes and inks. So it's really, using the word ink is a really loaded question because you never know exactly what you're dealing with. If you're dealing with an artist ink for fountain pens, you might be dealing with the traditional ink, which will bleed if you try to paint over it. But if you're dealing with things like the Daler Rowney inks, they're called acrylic inks. Those are actually pigments. They're actually not inks in the traditional sense of the word. So they're just like a wash, is what it comes down to. A pretty heavy pigmented, light-bodied wash.
Also, if
Sigwolf, get you, huh?
if they won, what are they supposed to do?
Oh, they're supposed to email you at, why can I never remember? reaperlive at reapermini?
Perfect.
Yay! reaperlive at reapermini.com, and you should tell Justin what your handle is on here so he knows who the heck you are and can verify that it's you. And then you need to give him your name and address so that he can ship you his firstborn. I mean, only if it becomes a Witcher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Mm-hmm. But also, I need your handle exactly as it appears on here.
Yes.
So that means if you have underscores, I need underscores. If you have a 0 instead of an O for where the O should be, then that needs to be there as well.
The minute yes, it is so confusing about inks. Absolutely. All right. I'm not sure I'm qualified to raise a baby Witcher. Who is? Oh, okay, Jazzy. On that one loses you 50 DKP. XPs are being dragged away from you with the talking to us. Oh my god. Yes, Tazlanch, yes, but Justin invoked the law of surprise, so. You don't break your heart, Jazzian. We still love you. Reaper is my addiction. For a minute, I thought you typed Witchers at Reaper Mini. You tank and wow. It's okay. Yay.
All right. I have the raid set up as well.
Oh, we're rating. See, Anixia. There we go. Or maybe not Anixia. What are we rating?
Giggling Geekette. She has
Yeah.
great streamer music, and she always paints with gloves on, too, which I find unique and interesting.
Yeah, well, if you have a latex allergy, some latex paints are actually latex, so you have to be careful.
All right. Well,
Or maybe she has acid fingers. We just don't know.
Well, her fingers are exposed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're cloth. Maybe her
Oh,
hands
I
get
see.
cold.
Interesting.
Maybe her hands get cold.
Well, then it's cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jennifer does that. Jennifer Haley. She'll paint with fingerless gloves.
All right, guys. Well, you have a great night and or day, depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah.
And spread the Reaper love, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
Yes,
more
I will
Anne.
be back. I will be back with, I think we're painting a pit fiend and we're using red and I'm doing some stuff. Yeah,
All right, guys.
stuff and things.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.